Hey everybody, so we're going to be working on number 20, which is the last question for the chapter 4 practice test. So let's see what it is telling us. The table shows the value y in dollars of a stock on day t. Use the regression feature on a graphing calculator to find a quadratic model and the cubic model for the data. And so just like the last problem, we are not given a function, but we are giving just a table of data values. And so really, even though we already know the answer here because it's marked, let's pretend we don't know the answer. So it says, which model is a better fit for the data? And so what we have to do is, once again, we have to use our Desmos calculator. We're going to have to add a table. And then our x values go by 1 all the way to 10. My y values are the decimals that we see here. Let me make sure I type these in correctly. 7, 8.26, 7.96, 7.72, oops, 7.74, 7.92, 8.42. So we zoom in a little bit more to see my points. We see that this is our data value. And so now what we have to do is we have to use regression for a quadratic and for a cubic model and see which one represents my data better. So if I do quadratic model, let's see what we end up getting. ax1 to the second power, bx1 to the first plus c. So if you notice, that looks really weird. This is supposed to be a parabola, and it is. But we already can see that this is not going to be the best fit for our data point. This really only crosses 1, 2, maybe 3 of our data points. And so that might not be what we are looking for. So now instead, let's look at the cubic model, regression model for this. Very similar. We're going to do the standard form. Second power plus cx1 plus d. And now if you notice, this one definitely looks like it fits my data better. It actually touches most of my points. And so that is why over here you can see that the answer for this is a cubic model. A cubic model definitely fits my data the best. Right, so now that we found that this is a cubic model, this is the one we have to use for part 1 and part 2 of this question. And so it says enter the better fitting model, which is cubic, round each number to the nearest 1,000. So once again, thousands means we're going to use 3 decimal spots. And so here we can see that we're going to look at 7, fix 7 and look at 5. Because this is a 5, I have to round up. And so my A becomes 0.018, as you can see down here. And so we can use the rest B, C, and D. And if we round, you're going to notice that we're going to get these values down here. So my first answer should be me inputting this as an equation so that it looks like this. My second answer says use the model to estimate the value of the stock on day 13 to the nearest cent. So basically, we just have to use this model's formula and plug in 13 for t and see what number that gives us. So let's copy down this model. And instead of writing a t, we're going to write 13. And that's to the third power minus 0.297. And that's going to be 13, but now that's to the second power plus 1.430 times 13 plus 6.324. And so if you notice, we have to round to the nearest cent. So that's 2 decimal spots because the cents only have 2 decimal spots. And so we can see that 14.267, if I fix my 6 and I look at 7, these should round up. And so that is why my rounded answer has to be 14.27.